likely won't take a full hour, but ultimately the goal of this call is to just talk about how we can potentially offset costs in your business through leveraging people around us, people that want to do business with us. So when I say that term leverage, what does it maybe mean to you?
I think of, like once maybe you have some money coming in, sell a few houses, kind of using some of that money to invest in yourself, with the different things out there to get leads or different ways to market yourself. So I think I think of it as leveraging right now for me, just trying to, use some of the money I've made and use that to invest in myself and kind of leverage to get new clients.
Okay. So putting it back into your business, putting money back in your business. So your money is acting as leverage to, as a tool. So when I think of leverage, I kind of think of a tool that's going to help you grow your business. Does that sound fair? And what we're going to be talking about here today is using different resources, not our own money, in terms of getting things for free, essentially, that's going to help promote our business. So let's talk about that. Where I'm going with this is utilizing vendors, people that want to do business with us and using their money and their resources in order to grow our business. Has anybody here so far had a partner help them offset costs in any aspect of their business?
I kind of did. It's really small. I had one of the mortgage companies give me a bunch of pins for my 4th of July party that I had. We had a scavenger hunt, so I needed pins.
Okay. And what did that conversation look like? How did that get going?
With the mortgage person or with my people?
With the mortgage person. How did you get pins for nothing?
Oh, well, they had invited me to lunch, so we were meeting anyways. And I was like, hey, I don't know if this qualifies, but could you, by any chance, what's the word? I can't think of the word right now. And then give me some pins for this party. And she was like, yeah, of course. Just come out of the office and pick some up.
Good. So what are some different vendor types? When I say vendor, I just simply mean anybody who's affiliated with the real estate world that wants our business. So who are some vendor types that we could utilize to help offset our costs?
Maybe like lenders.
Lenders, absolutely. Who else?
I'm working with an inspector right now. Actually, I'm meeting with him this next week to go over stuff.
Inspectors, absolutely. Who else?
Title company people.
Title companies, yes.
Appraisal company.
Potentially, yeah. So we've already got 4 different resources there, right? And in Kentucky, are you required to give 3 names to like referring out? When you refer out like an inspector or lender, are you required to give 3 names out?
I think so.
Well, it might be good to know. I'll try and do some research for that. So we just listed 4 different resources. And if we're giving out 3 different resources per inspector, that's 3 inspectors plus 3 lenders, that equals 6, plus 3 title companies, that's 9, plus 3 appraisers or electricians or roofers, etc. Think of the multitude of different ways and resources we have to offset costs in our business. If we're being financially responsible, can anybody tell me? I just gave my Millionaire Real Estate Agent book away. Has anybody read The Millionaire Real Estate Agent yet? It's the red book by Gary Keller. Crickets.
I've read
Okay.
a little bit into it.
Okay. So I definitely want everyone to put that on your priority list for reading. If you have not yet read it, it's called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, otherwise known as MREA. If you go to any Keller Williams event, you're going to hear that term thrown around, MREA, otherwise known as the Red Book. It is literally a handbook to making $1 million in real estate. Turn that down, bro. And in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, it says that there's a sample P&L. Does anybody know what a P&L is? Profit and loss statement.
Loss.
Okay, profit and loss. Profit and loss is a business statement that we should be utilizing in our own businesses to determine how successful and how financially lucrative our business is. A P&L is profit, meaning money coming in, and loss, meaning money's going out. If I have a P&L, I should be keeping track of things like my own expenses, things like my cap, the money that I'm paying the brokerage, my monthly fee. If I'm subscribed to anything like, Mike, I know you're subscribing for online leads. So you can do, you'll track that. You'll track business cards, you'll track cell phone service. Like that's something you should be tracking, because all these things at the end of the year, you can parlay into tax write-offs because you're an independent business contractor. If you take one thing away from this call, if you don't have a P&L, start one. It can be real rudimentary, or if you'd like a sample of a P&L, I'm happy to share mine. Mine is pretty in depth. It breaks it down month by month, and I just keep track of different categories. And as I add a new category, maybe I implement a new system or third-party application that I'm paying a fee for, then I add that into my P&L. But I'm always tracking money coming in, so my commissions, and money going out. The MREA book states that a successful real estate business should have 40% profit. 40%.
The example in the book is on page 349.
Perfect. Good reference. And what that simply means is that if I have $100,000 coming in through commissions, then a successful business will put $60,000 back into the business, either through marketing, even like education, things like phone bills and tools like computers, resources like that, office dues, etc. And that means that $40,000 would stay in your pocket. Now, as a business owner, I'm always trying to stretch that number north. I want my profit number to be more than 40%, because that means I'm making as much money possible. So in order to do that, we have to take some of these things that are going to be known costs to us. So let's say door hangers. We wanted to go canvas a neighborhood with door hangers. Is that an expense that I have to pay myself? Or is that an expense that I could go in with a partner and offset that cost? It's absolutely an offsettable cost. Things like marketing. Let's just take an example of Zillow. You can actually go in and partner with a lender and co-market, meaning I could spend $1,000 a month and maybe they could spend $500 a month and I get more leads. Now, how is that going to impact my lender friend? Well, it's going to potentially give them more leads as well, because every lead who's unrepresented from a lender that comes in, I'm going to try and lock in as my client, but I'm also going to refer out my lender partner. So it's kind of scratching the back of the person who's helping feed my positive P&L. Am I making sense in regards to like the understanding the why behind offsetting costs?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So You are a business operator. And a lot of us jump into this industry not realizing that. A lot of us get into it saying, I just want to have fun and I just want to make some money, but you've got to track your dollars and cents. If you're not tracking it, then you are not being the best business owner. So again, P&L is a must. Now, what we're talking about here today is how to maximize your profitability by minimizing the amount of money that you're forking out to do things. I want to give you all an example of something me and my team just did recently that was a great thing for the community and really required $0 out of our own pocket. All it required was some time. I'm a big proponent of hosting events. I try to do some type of event once a month. Sometimes we do multiple events each month. And the reason for events and the reason I do those is because I enjoy putting them on. I'm a social person. I enjoy planning these things out. I enjoy challenging my team to think outside the box on how we can hit different types of people. And then we utilize that event as a source for touches. So in a given year, if our goal is to create 36 touches with each individual in our database, each event that I put on, within that event time frame, I could have 6, 7, 8 touches with each person in my database. Simply meaning this: if I have a VIP party I'm going to be throwing, I could, the first touch, send out an email to everybody in my sphere. That's one touch. The second touch could be a text message saying, hey, come to our party, RSVP. The third touch could be a phone call saying, hey, I've got this cool event. We'd love to have you there. And that's all a month out. The week of, you send the same, another 3, email, text, phone call saying, hey, just want to remind you we're a week out, please RSVP. Then you actually host the event. So that's 7 touches. Then afterwards, you send out a social media post. There's 8 touches. Then after that, you send out a, hey, sorry we missed you. There's 9 touches. There's so many opportunities for you to use events as a way to generate touches for your business. What we did last month was we wanted to do a give back opportunity where we wanted to go grill out for the homeless. So what do? Number one, we coordinated the time frame with the local homeless shelter. We asked them how many mouths we'd be feeding and what we should bring. They told us, they said hamburgers, hot dogs, chips, plates. That was pretty much it. From there, knowing that we had a somewhat pinpoint cost, then we went and paired up with a vendor that we use. A vendor that desperately wants our business because we talk to a lot of buyers. And a vendor like a lender wants us to link them up with unrepresented buyers. Why? Obviously, so they can lend them money and they can make their business increase. So we went to this lender and said, hey, here's what we're doing. We'd love to have you be a part of this. Do you think you'd be able to help? Not only did they help, they physically came down to help us grill out and serve, but they also offset the cost completely. They bought all the hamburgers, all the hot dogs, cheese, buns, chips, etc. And that cost was probably upwards of $800 to $1,000. Did that help my business? In this instance, it did a little bit just through us doing good deeds. Like good deeds always go rewarded. It's just the way the universe works. So I know that although this wasn't one of those events where we go ask for business, because homeless people are homeless, they probably can't afford homes. But did we do something good for people in the community? And did we then post about those things and let people know what we were doing? Absolutely. It was fun. It felt rewarding for us to give back, and we didn't have to have any money into it. So let's flash forward to another event that we've held in the past. Let's see here. I do a lot of giveaways. So in December last year, we did a 12 Days of Christmas giveaway, and I asked 12 different vendor partners for help in offsetting the costs. So what did that look like? I said, hey, we're giving away 12 different items. What kind of item would you like to give away? I'll spotlight your business. I'll spotlight you personally in all of our social media campaigns. So I'm scratching your back. Can you scratch mine? And turns out we gave away 12 items. I think ultimately I may have spent like $500 on all 12 of the items because they offset the cost. They contributed or donated a lot of these things themselves because they knew that there was some reward on the other side. So I was able to put on an event under my team's name, making it all look like it really came from me. But in actuality, I really didn't have much to do with it. So that was a form of leverage. So the purpose of this call is to think about, like, in your own worlds, who can I reach out to offset costs of whether it's an event or a flyer, posters, printouts, mailers. What would that look like? So we talked about what different type of vendor partners we have access to. Let's go back to what Emma said. What would it look like to have that conversation with a vendor partner to say, hey, give me money? Anybody have any good recommendations on what that script or that conversation needs to look like?
I'll go. I'm actually talking to a family member actually that's a lender in the area that I want to do a mailer to. So we had a conversation about, hey, let's split the cost, put both of us on here, and then in return we'll just refer each other to, any call we get. If they reference this mailer, then we'll return the favor and refer each other, basically.
That's great. It's always helpful when you come at it from their perspective. Like, hey, here's what I'm looking for, and here's why I think you would be benefited if you helped me out. So good. What else? What other ways of going around about this are there?
Yeah, I reached out to a lender that I actually gave business for 2 clients. And so I feel like we're developing a relationship. Anytime I have any questions, he's always available. I call him, text him. So I asked him, like, hey, would you be interested in doing an event in July? And he said, sure. And so we were kind of just brainstorming right now. But I would like to do maybe some kind of giveaway. I like the, what was that called that we did? The vacation giveaway kind of thing, like nothing that big, but maybe just whatever, we come up with, and try to drum up some new clients and do the where they call in kind of thing. What's that called?
A reverse bold 100.
Yeah, reverse bold 100 is kind of my thought on that.
For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, it's where you get 100 people to call you. And the best way of doing that is to do what Michael's talking about, and that's give away something that people want, people genuinely want. Maybe it's a couple items. Maybe you pair with a couple vendors and you do a big thing so that people can win multiple items. But in regards to that, you think about what's seasonally relevant. So right now, maybe it's a grill or a tent or a Yeti or a cooler or a solo fire pit, stuff like that. Things that are outdoorsy related.
I was thinking gas cards.
Gas cards is a great idea too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Emma, can you share some other people popped on after you said what you said earlier. Emma, can you share what you did and how you went about it?
Okay, so I was meeting for lunch with a mortgage lender, and at the lunch I was like, hey, so I'm having a party on the 4th of July and I need some pins for it. Would you be interested in like sponsoring me some pins? And she was just like, of course, come by the office. So I went by and got a whole bunch of pins. And then I only had conversations with, I think, 2 people based off the pins, but that's still 2 more than what I probably would have had.
Good, but all that stuff was free, so you were out nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
as opposed to what you would have had to done, and that like go to a store and purchase them onto your business account, and that would be a business expense, which sure, it's a write-off, but you're not getting dollar for dollar return on that come tax time. Nick, for those of you who just jumped on, Nicole has a billboard. She has a billboard up right off the highway in Owensboro. If anyone's in Owensboro, go check it out. It looks very professional. She's already received one listing from that billboard, but that's an expense, right? Nicole, what's that cost? What does that cost you? And is it a monthly fee?
It's a monthly fee. It's $500 a month, and it's been up for almost 2 months, and I've already got a listing off of it.
Awesome. So in theory, once you close that listing, that'll more than pay for it. That being said, where I'm going with that is, Nicole, now that you hear us talking, are your wheels kind of turning about like, hey, maybe if I got a title company to go in with me, maybe there's some way for me to take that $500 expense down to $250?
Yeah, I never thought about that at the time. That's a great idea.
So let's real quickly, let's just brainstorm. Let's mastermind. What types of expenses do we have as realtors? Let's just start listing them out. I'm gonna write them down in the chat. We just said billboards. This isn't something that most people do, but I love the idea. So we got billboards. What else?
Door hangers.
Mailers.
Your signs for your listings.
Events. Paid ads. So like Google ads or Facebook leads, Zillow, realtor.com, all these other places you can pay for ads.
Photographers.
What did you say?
Photographers for your listings.
Sure, photographers. Stagers, if you had a property that was vacant that you wanted to stage. About things like power dialers. So we have a vendor partner who sponsors our power dialers. What other fees are associated or affiliated with being a realtor? Things that you spend money for.
Events.
Okay. Yeah. So looking at this list on my chat here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 items here. Are all of these costs that could technically be offset, like almost down to zero? If done wisely, the answer is absolutely yes. Mm-hmm. And so if we're not actively trying to find ways of making these zero cost to us, then you're not running the most lucrative business that you can run. The coolest thing with this whole thing that I'm talking about is you have the ability to build your Rolodex of people in your world. Meaning, if I have to send out 3 referrals each for lenders, title companies, inspectors, etc., then I should technically know 3 different inspectors. I should know 3 different lenders. And those people, I shouldn't give their name out for free. If you're giving their name out for free, then you're not getting your back scratched. Unless they're sending you leads. If they're sending you active leads, then cool, they're scratching your back too. But in most situations, they don't send you anything. So why not go to them saying, hey, I'm going to scratch your back by giving your name out to every potential unrepresented buyer that I have. In return, and I like to do this at the end of the year every year. And I learned this the hard way, but at the end of the year, come December, I send a note out to all of my trusted go-to lenders. And I say, here's what I'm planning out for this next year in terms of events and giveaways and all this stuff. What can you give to me and my business from a cost perspective throughout the year? And what does it look like? Is it quarterly? So what I've got is I've got several commitments from different vendors of $300 a quarter. So I take that money and I basically budget that. That's me being a business person running a P&L, right? If I know I have $300 a quarter from 3 different lenders, well, that's $900 a quarter that I have to play with. So the things that I budget for are hopefully going to cost $900 or less. Now, in return, they're going to see a return on their investment too, right? So you need to be a person of your word and continue to give their information out, try to drive their business, because the more business you give them, that number is going to continue to increase. Is this all making sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, this isn't rocket science, and this is actually really easy. You get a chance to go out there into the world, especially if you're a brand new agent. I won't be shocked if you all say that you've had lenders reach out to you. Is that fair to say? Have lenders reached out to you proactively?
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially once you get your license, and then again when you sell your first house. They normally come out of the woodwork and say, hey, Michael, looks like you're killing it in this industry. Would love to have coffee sometime. And you're like, how did you get my number? Number one. And then go ahead and take them up for it. Number one, it's a free cup of coffee or a free lunch. And then number two, you're building your Rolodex. My first year or two, I experimented with people. The very first person that ever took me out for coffee, I probably gave them 3 or 4 buyers until I realized that they weren't my cup of tea. Their company did not service my people the way I expect them to service my people. So what happened? I moved on. I separated from them, and I no longer asked them for business because I knew that I was not going to be sending people to you. So I'm going to be a good person here. I'm not going to ask you for any money. How's that sound? We're just going to amicably part ways. And that's not a breakup that needs to like verbally happen. It's just, I didn't send them anything else. But over time, you get 3 people to take you out to lunch, coffee, have a beverage or whatever. You get to know who's your speed, and then you rank them on your email. This is a system that you can build out. So anytime anybody asks me for a lender, I have this email that's already shaped out. It just has their name, their email, their phone number, and then why I recommend them. I have them ranked 1, 2, and 3. In theory, people are going to call number 1 first, right? So that needs to be my number 1 go-to lender. This is how I sell it to them. I say, hey, you want to be on number 1? Number 1, you better service my people impeccably. You better follow what I want you to do when servicing my people. You need to be giving them great communication, great advice, following through, making sure we close on time. In return, I'm going to put you as number 1 on my referred partner list. Additionally, so that we can drive more business and help each other out, I would love it if you'd help me offset some costs, whether that's in regards to mailers, paid ads. I use them almost exclusively for events because I put so much emphasis into my events. Then number 2 and 3, honestly, have an open conversation. Say, hey, I've got somebody else as my number 1, but I'd love for you to be my number 2. And in the future, who knows, maybe we scratch each other's backs enough and you move up to number 1. But here's what this relationship looks like. I have to give 3 names out. Would love for you to be number 2. What does that look like from a financial perspective for you to help me out? Because a lot of times when people call number 1, they're busy or they don't answer right away. And then who are they calling? They're calling you. So
yeah. Hey,
go
Josh,
ahead.
real quick. I know for me, because out where I live, more rural area, I know for me, I've asked these kind of questions to other agents. Like other agents have been extremely helpful. Like, and then, I've kind of found a couple inspectors like, all right, I like this one, well, maybe not. So I just haven't been afraid to ask other agents like, hey, in your 20 years of experience in this area, who do you recommend? And then I kind of dig into that just to find some good ones as well.
Love that. And also a good resource is to come into the office. If you guys are in the need of other vendor partners, go into the office and ask your peers, like, hey, who do you use for electrical? Hey, who's your best roofer? Hey, who's your best inspector? They'll gladly share because they're already getting offset costs from these people, and they're big cheerleaders. Like, we want to see our top vendors succeed, right? Because when they succeed, odds are they're going to want us to succeed, and it's going to be a nice cycle of continuing to increase what they can help us offset with. Good call out, Michael. What are your all's thoughts on this? So we talked about building a Rolodex. So it doesn't stop at those 4 sources, right? So we have lenders, title, inspectors. Those are the 3 big ones that are involved in almost every transaction. You mentioned appraisers. Appraisers are sometimes tough to get in touch with, and you're not allowed to be in bed with an appraiser up here, right? Because we don't ever hardly even get their contact information. But what other partners could we get into business with?
I have a handyman guy. He does basically anything and everything. I've developed a good relationship with him, and he's cool with me, sending him business, and potentially down the road, I know he's looking to flip houses, so there could be a relationship there. But I'm just trying to, anytime somebody needs something, like, he's my number one, so I try to throw business his way.
Great call out. Everyone needs a handyman, especially when you're getting listings ready. Like Jason just did a bunch of work, I know, at that condo. I'm sure you would have loved to have been able to outsource that thing and have somebody else maybe do it. But at the same time, that handyman should be scratching your back too. Like, you shouldn't just be doing this out of the graciousness of your heart. This is a business. And at the end of the day, that's hard for some of us to understand, especially if we have a friend who's in that industry. Most of us do. Most of us know somebody. We're their big cheerleaders. But at the same time, if they come across somebody who's needing to list their home, they better be shouting your name from the top of the rooftop. What other vendor partners could we be reaching out to? What questions do y'all get? Like, hey, do you know a good blank? Victor just asked me one yesterday. Do you know a good?
I got asked yesterday about a plumber, and I have somebody who hasn't sent me any business, but that's the only person I'll have come into my house and do it, because he went like above and beyond. Like, I just needed him to fix one problem, but he realized that one problem was going to be causing a separate problem. It was with my upstairs sink, and it was somehow going to affect my dishwasher too. And he went ahead and fixed that and added it all into the total. And because of that, I'm like, okay, you're like the main person.
Yeah, these people are an extension of you. So are you going to send them a crappy person? You better not, because that's going to come back on you. Hey, you referred me John, and John came out and never did the work, but he took my money. I'm never sending you business again. So you need to vet these people. So the other person that Victor asked me about was a painter. I mean, how many people need a painter? Lots of people.
Everyone.
What else? Do you know a good blank?
Electrician, people who lay carpet or hardwood, fence installers, people who mow grass. I've been asked that more times than I ever thought that I would.
Landscapers, absolutely. So you're starting to see, guys, we've got an amazing list here of opportunities for you to make real estate contacts each week. A real estate contact is simply you trying to promote your business. Why not go to some vendors and start building out that Rolodex of people that you know, love, and trust? Getting to know those people, getting to know their work quality, and ultimately becoming the local expert, because that's what we're all striving to be, right? When somebody asks a question on who do you know, you want to have them, you want to have these people in your back pocket. And ultimately, these people can scratch your backs as well. I've got a flooring guy, I've got a painter that have helped me give stuff away before, even if it's just a free room to paint. Like that's a good value for a lot of people. Who doesn't want a free room painted in their house? So good information. Thanks, Emma. All right, guys, this call, I don't need to take this to 2:00. We can branch off here, but ultimately, end of the day, this conversation is meant to inspire y'all to get into talks with people that can help you offset costs in your own business. I want you guys to operate a really clean P&L. I want you to operate a really profitable P&L. Even if you only sell one house a year, you can still be profitable at 40%. You just can't spend a lot of money. And this is where the term red light, green light comes from. With our finances, if we're playing red light, green light, we're not going to go spend money until we have money coming in. And sometimes the harsh reality of seeing no money coming in is enough to inspire us to go do the daggone work that we need to be doing, which is hitting the phones, pounding the pavement, getting into contact and communication with people that might need your services.
While I got you here, I would like.
I got something real quick.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
All right. So, my condo I'm working on, I put her in the condo last year. Now she's moving out. But she has a new boyfriend now. And the boyfriend has, I guess some family member who's a realtor. Now, as much work I went over there and done, I feel like I'd have pretty much done all the work over there. Would you still charge that 3% or would you just raise it to 4%? What would you do?
Man, that's a good question. I mean, if you can get 4%, always try. That being said, that's a conversation that might be hard to anticipate on the front end of you getting in there and doing the work, but because you may not know what you're all in store for. But there's no law that says we have to charge 6% total to list a home, right? In fact, there's not allowed to be a law because that's called price setting. So if you can charge 7% where you keep 4% and give the buyer agent 3%, more power to you. There's agents in our office that do that. And they're not providing as much of a service as you just did.
Yeah, I mean,
but regardless, you better lock that person in before they even think about going somewhere else, or else you better be charging them itemized bill for all the work that you did.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I would have never thought about doing this. Like, the plan was not to do all this work. The plan, I gave them a timeline. I gave them a checklist of all things they need to be doing, but they didn't seem to be doing much over there. So I'm like, you know what? You're not going to slow up the process. I'm going to get in here and do the work myself if I need be. I know she has 2 kids, so I don't want to put any pressure on her, but she made it seem as though she can get the work done herself on her end, whether her new boyfriend could do it or whatever. But nothing was getting done over there. So that's what's frustrating to me.
Yeah, and get that exclusive right to sell lickety split before you do another ounce of work over there, and use that as your leverage. Say, hey, I've done a lot of work for you guys. I would just love a little peace of mind knowing that you're going to use me to list this thing.
Got you. Yeah, that was the first thing signed. I ain't going to do that to myself.
Good.
Okay, the question. Yeah. So I had somebody who was looking for a horse farm, and they needed a set amount of acres and within a certain amount from Fort Knox. So it's kind of hard to find. They had another realtor give them something that was off market. Like they just wanted to sell it without putting it on the market. So they were going to go through with that. And she just sent me a text the other day and she was like, by the way, we're not going through with that. We don't think it's the right time. How can I turn that back into my favor? Do I keep sending her things? Do I need to sit down and chat with her and ask like when they're going to be ready to start looking again? How do I do that?
I don't know that there's a cut and dry answer there. Whenever I'm uncertain about things, I just go have a conversation with them so I can find out more. So the conversation that I would probably have, Emma, is, hey, when can we meet for coffee? Let's just catch up. Like, you use it as an opportunity to just catch up like friends, right? You're establishing more of a relationship, more rapport. In that conversation, then you're just going to ask, like, hey, so I got that message you sent me. So what's the scoop with your, purchasing a horse farm? Where are you at on that? And if it's timing because of the market, or timing because of interest rates or the economy, et cetera, you can use that as an opportunity for you to educate them about where we're really at. Because a lot of times people hear things secondhand, and they're hearing it from other Joe Schmoes on the street that actually don't know crap. And this is where we get a chance to prove our benefit and our value by educating them. Another thing is, I would always keep sending them properties, because usually when people receive properties, it gets their juices flowing, their blood flowing, and they ultimately want to go see that property. I would never stop that. It's free and it doesn't cost you a dime. And if they want to turn it off, they can turn it off on their end.
Okay.
I wish I had a more cut and dry answer, but I think the real answer is just be a good friend to them. And who knows, maybe they'd still be interested in off-market properties. Maybe you can find one for them. But just get to the bottom of the why.
Alrighty. Thank you.
Yeah. And like, we're in the business of finding people's pain points and trying to ironing them out. Right. So we are just as much real estate professionals as we are real estate psychologists, meaning there are times where we just have to be their friend and just dig a little deeper into what they're thinking. Because a lot of times there's some unrealistic fears, right? Like interest rates are starting to pop a little bit, and the whole world's ending if you ask certain people. And that just comes back to us educating them and say, hey, actually, the reason interest rates are rising, Mr. Buyer, is the Fed, the government realizes that the market is way out of whack right now. It's way too much in the seller's favor. So what raising the interest rates is doing is actually eliminating buyers that were fair weather and allowing you to have more options and reduced amounts of multiple offer situations. So it's actually making buying a home easier for you. So it was done intentionally. You should take advantage of this if you're considering buying. I wouldn't wait, because they're going to lower interest rates again when they can, and then it's just going to be back to where we are. And at that point, you could go refinance. But yeah, I never encourage waiting in this market, because you never know what the future holds. Maybe the interest rates get worse too. So it's just a lot of education, playing psychologist, being a good friend, being a good person. Ultimately, it'll pay off. Great question, Emma. Thank you. Are there any questions? Any people battling any other objections that they're hearing, or anything we can have a conversation about?
So my op city is working, I tell you that. Good.
You're the only daggone one that is getting anything. So I'm trying to, the people who are on here, yeah, you're all gonna be receiving leads through this Op City and Ojo thing. Brad, just so you know, Brad is in contract on an Ojo lead, so that'll get kicking for y'all too. Because I created 3 accounts at the same time, basically, this third party is all discombobulated. So I've got everything in the work. So Kentucky agents, I'm sorry, I know you've been struggling to get started here. Ohio agents, I know you guys are starting to see some stuff popping. So good on you.
I mean, it's all the way out in Crooksville, but
hey, give you a chance to see the world.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna see the world, all right.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that to take off.
Good.
Yeah, I wanted to add to that, Josh. I was thinking the other day about the Op City stuff and some agents that weren't getting as many contacts. And when I created mine, I don't know if this is why I'm getting so many, but I made the radius like 60 miles. I I just open it up, man. And anything I get, I try to claim it, even if, like, most times it's for a lease, or, most of what I'm seeing is people not pre-approved. And so it's just walking them through the process. But that really, I don't know if there's an algorithm in their app but I just open it up, man. And I'm getting, like, I have to turn it off a lot of the times because I'm getting too many at one time.
That's the key. And I'm glad you're saying this out loud. So when you are not wanting to take calls, maybe you're having dinner with the family, or maybe you're going to take a weekend off, you have to click snooze. You guys are on what's basically going to be looked at as a team. So Brad knows this. So Brad's on my team, and I've got a separate account for my team. And if one person starts to slide on their responsiveness, it impacts the whole team. So you must snooze that crap. Additionally, you said it, the more open availability you have, the better off you are. And last but not least, your first few leads are going to feel like garbage. They're going to feel like, oh, they're approved up to $80,000. Great. What the hell am I going to find them, right? Or it's going to be a lease. Just claim it and work it. Like, be responsive on the app for OpCity, or be responsive on the website, updating these people. Even if it's just a nurture thing, you've got to be responsive. Otherwise, you're going to hurt your scores and you're not going to receive as many leads. I feel like Michael's finding such success already because he's being responsive, he's accepting everything, and he's updating these things in the platform.
And then, Josh, with that being said, because I have one tonight I'm meeting with for a lease. Is there any paperwork, anything I send them to, like, agency, like, what? I don't know what to do.
If you were to close something that gets you paid,
mm-hmm.
then yeah, you'll need to do an agency disclosure and the typical documents. I hate to say this, guys, but in a lot of these lease situations, you're either going to get paid peanuts or nothing. But what you can look at this as is an opportunity for you to get into business, an opportunity for you to grow your knowledge and your acumen, and also to build a really good relationship. And basically at the closing day, or when they're signing their lease or whatever, say, hey, I just helped you with this. Do you happen to know of anybody looking to buy or sell real estate? Like, scratch your own back too.
So just
right now, you don't really need to do anything because you don't know if you're going to be getting paid.
Yeah. Okay. Because I did notice on the MLS, the ones that are listed on there, it does say, like, some of them are like $200, $300, $350. But I just didn't know what forms. Like, so you're saying just agency disclosure form? Is that it?
You will need the typical forms that you've had to fill out when you buy or sell a home. So agency disclosure, consumer guide, electronic signature, appointment of agent, anti-fraud.
Okay.
All those jams. Good question. All right. Anybody else have anything? Any issues you need solved? Any problems? Heads up, Bold begins in August. I think everyone in Columbus, that is. If you're not already signed up, you ought to sign up, guys. It's the single best learning opportunity that I've ever attended through Keller Williams. 7 weeks, great learning. It's weekly, so it's not too much of a time commitment. I think it's every Tuesday, if I recall. Starts in early August. So that's my spiel. You do get reimbursed for each closing that you post. If you want more information, feel free to holler at me. I'll get you some. If not, I'll see y'all on the flip. Brad, I'm going to call you. I'll email you a Zoom link. We got to connect here.
Thanks, Josh.
All right. Actually, Brad, just stay on. Anybody else wants to go through an Alta settlement statement? I'm going to show Brad that ultimate that statement. Brad, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
All right. So we get this email come closing at least normally 2 days prior to closing, so that we can review the final numbers for our buyers and or our sellers. So we want to open this email up, and number one, make sure that the body of the email doesn't state anything that's a surprise. Looks like they're using the 11th as the closing date.
Yep.
So that's good information. Earnest money deposit is going to be presented at closing for the buyer. So you're gonna have to request that, and just have Penny do that. Say, Penny, can you request the earnest money?
Okay.
I like to request it about a week out. So because we're less than that, I would go ahead and request it. What's the
Okay.
11th? Is that Monday?
Monday. Yeah.
You're gonna have to get it Monday morning because Jennifer is out until then. But she can go ahead and have Penny request it now.
Okay.
So that it's in there, and there's a requested for date. So just make it ASAP, requested for ASAP.
Okay.
Who knows? Maybe Carrie or Rachel can help us get that.
Okay.
You'll want to once we've gone through this form, you'll want to say you'll want to tell the buyer what the amount is that she needs to wire.
Yeah, she was asking me that this morning, so I was before I got this, so that was good.
Good. And then First American, you're going to want to confirm that because she's wiring it to them, that she has wiring instructions.
Yeah, she just texted me a few minutes ago. She has the wiring instructions. So
now my script for this is, I want you to because it's over $10,000. I'm assuming it's over $10,000. Because it's over $10,000, you will have to wire the funds in the state of Ohio, and it's a federal regulation. Anything over $10,000, the funds must be wired.
Okay.
When you do this, because of wiring fraud, I want to make sure that you're protected. Prior to wiring it, I always tell my clients to call the title company and confirm that the wiring instructions are accurate.
Okay.
And then you'll go into the bank. You'll give the bank the wiring instructions and the amounts. They'll wire it, and then I like to call the title company or have them confirm that they've received the wire. This protects your buyer against wire fraud and maybe potentially sending this to somebody in Egypt.
Yep.
Okay, so as I go through this email, I'm going to pull up this settlement statement. What I'm looking for on my side is seller side. So sales price looks good. County taxes, there's not much I can look at. Like, this is okay, sure. Looks like it's on the up and up. This is per each parcel.
Yep.
That's good. I understand now that there are 2 parcels. So that's accurate. All these title charges are what they are. They're not going to change. So I don't really dwell on these.
Yep.
I make sure our real estate commissions are accurate. They are. It's a paltry amount, but this is the easiest deal we've ever closed, right?
Right.
And then taxes, government recording fees, like there's nothing we can do about these. Basically, what I'm looking for is anything that looks whack, anything that looks outside of the ordinary. And the first few that you close, I want to look at them together. So when you get ready to close the Springfield one, I want you to say, hey, Josh, we just got the statement, so that we can go through it together and make sure that there's nothing that looks odd. Because your first few, you're not going to know what looks odd and what doesn't. Ultimately, end of the day, the fees associated with selling for the seller are $21.86. So they're going to net almost $13K. And then for the buyer side, let's go back up here. So if I'm looking at this from your perspective, my first thing is still going to be to come down here to commissions and make sure that the seller's paying me the appropriate amount of commission.
Yep.
The next step is going to be purchase price. Okay, that looks good. Earnest money, $1,000. Okay, that reminds me, I got to request the earnest money.
Yep.
County taxes. Okay, that's a credit to them. So meaning taxes are paid in arrears. So the seller is going to go ahead and pay for the time that they've owned it this year. So that's actually a credit to them. Title fees are what they are. They don't pay any commissions. Recording fees, that's all auditor stuff. So that's out of my jurisdiction. And then the brokerage fee, they're going to pay for that. So ultimately, due from the buyer after the credits, et cetera, is going to be this amount here. So 14,484.02 is what you're going to tell your person to wire.
Okay.
And I always like to tell Loretta or whoever sends this email, hey, the numbers look good. Please forward it to my buyer or my seller.
Okay.
Okay. So in response to this email, you're going to jump on there and say, numbers look good. Please forward to buyer.
Okay. And then that brokerage fee was the part for Penny, right?
Yeah. So
Okay.
I finally got smart and learned basically a way to save on our P&L to where I can pay somebody, but I'm not necessarily the one directly paying her. So it's our clients paying her for her services in tracking through the administrative portion of the contract. So this is leverage for you, leverage for me, and leverage for the buyer or leverage for the seller. So it's a really nominal fee that when they're paying thousands of dollars, they don't even care about 300. It's like a drop in the bucket. I've never had anybody push back on it except for one person. And I gladly paid that 300 out of my commission because I wanted that transaction to be done because she was a B.
Yep. And it's your mom. So
yeah. Cool.
Yep. That makes sense.
So it's not rocket science. Nothing in real estate is, but the first couple times you see this, it can be a little confusing.
Yep. No, it's all good. It helps that honestly, like in my personal transactions with my own houses to look that I've seen this, 100 times. So it seems like, it helps to